I recall, Nedra, this would be line 3 in the discussion on the wording for the warning. She decided to call the state. She wasn't directed to. I don't believe anyone directed her to. She decided to call the state. That's one thing. The second thing.
So just X-directed?
I would say cross out was directed and had decided.
She called the state.
Yeah. And then second thing is just for posterity, the vote for the first vote on the town warning. The 2 members that were in favor were myself and Zach Holsworth, and the 2 that were opposed were you and Jim, I believe. So I think that should be in the minutes.
Okay, so in the future, if you would like to see that in the minutes, I would request a roll call vote. Because we've never done that before. We've never done that with motions. Motions either carry or not. So if you would like members' names listed in the minutes, then you want to ask for a roll call vote.
Okay, so be it. It was just it's always been kind of random in the past. Sometimes it's in there, sometimes it isn't. In this case, I would have wanted it in there. And that's all I have.
Anything else? All those in favor with the corrections?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda, fire department officers for approval.
I need to recuse myself from the discussion and the vote on this.
I move the department officers of the fire department be approved based on the election by the department. Chief Heath Goyette, First Assistant Dan Ducharme, Second Assistant Dick Combs, Captain John Alexander, Lieutenant Mike Finnegan.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? I'd just like to thank the fire department for all they do. They're usually the first ones called out whenever there's an emergency, not only fires, accidents, floods, whatever. So thank you. Thank you, men.
You're welcome.
Call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda, police update. Chief.
Yes, you all got a copy of my report for November, December, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So looking through here, not a lot's changed. December, obviously, most of the month, we didn't have the university in session, about half of it, a little over half. Our calls were up by 9. There's really nothing significant in there that, for the 9 more calls. Arrests, we've been averaging, anywhere from 10 to 14 throughout the year anyway, so we were down a couple in December from November. Traffic violations, we wrote 202 in December. Probably because of weather, probably obstructed some issues. We had a little more. You see the underage drinking possession. We had 11 last month. The Tuesday before they leave. At the university, so you get more of those during that period. Calls of service to the university wasn't that many. We only had 3 in December. Any questions on the report?
Any questions, board?
Okay. I do want to bring up the district, the Slate Valley Unified District has a contract they already signed for next year. It's calculated the same way I calculated the one we did this year for the SRO position. I increased it based on FICA and insurance increases. So it's up a little bit. I think a little over 1,000.
Okay.
They've already signed it, so I want to see if you guys okay with it.
Do you guys want to take a quick look at it so we can act on it?
But you need to sign both of them, so I'll take one. You have one if you decide.
Yep.
So the only thing different is the adjustment and
Correct.
because of FICA and insurance, and still the same thing. It pays for itself. Costs the town basically nothing.
And they give us the lump sum beginning of the year, 2019 in September.
Yeah. Want to look?
No, I don't need it. No changes.
We just bill out for the mileage, which I just did for the first quarter. So.
Well, if there's no changes,
Doesn't affect patrol or the duty officer.
And this is the second year that we've done it.
They're very happy with what we're doing. They want to keep it going.
Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just sign
Motion
those.
carries.
You have to sign, Joe, and I'll take one copy and you can have the other one.
Thank you, chief.
Oh, thank you.
Nice job.
Okay, any other questions for the chief? Do you have anything else, chief?
Oh, that's it.
You got anything on the liquor licenses, chief? Any problems with them?
No, that's why, I know what's next, so I looked at all, Nedra sent them all to me. They're the same, they come out every year. There's no changes from the past requests at all, so I don't have any objections to any of them. I looked at all of them.
Okay. I understand we may have had a sewer issue at the police station. Was that corrected?
Yes, we did, Chairman.
What's that?
Yes, we did, Chairman.
And it was corrected?
Correct. So, yes, we did have a flushing sewage issue, so we thought, they called A1 in to check, we thought that we had a break, and so we're thinking, oh my gosh, so they're gonna dig a hole, so it finds out it was clogged with wipes. So if you use flushable wipes, don't use them. They will clog the system. So we learned a valuable lesson. So Dorn came today and cleaned it up and didn't see any other issues.
Was A1 the one that found the clog?
Yes, but because I had given him a USB, we filmed it, we recorded it, because it looked like there was a break, but from where you see the camera goes in, it's actually went into the holding.
Into the manhole?
Correct. And they came back, not A1, but Mick and everyone else came back with them, and Justin went out there the first time. They didn't see a break, so they cleaned it up and called Dorn, and then they just pumped, a little bit of it out, doing whatever stuff was in there.
So you'll take care of that internally as far as putting
Yes.
wipes down there? Because we had an issue like that at the elementary school a few years ago. And that system up there was pressured, so it raised havoc with the pumps. And they had put some sort of a basket in there where other solids would pass through, but those wipes wouldn't. So I'm hoping we don't have to do that there, but.
Yeah, I did not know. I learned, I didn't realize that they didn't all break down like that, so it definitely was an eye-opener for us.
Okay. That's it. Oh, no, that's another for manager later. Okay. Anything else for the chief? Thank you, chief. All right. Well, next thing on the agenda, liquor license approvals.
Mr. Chairman, do you want the outside consumption as separate or just together with,
I think together with the organization.
okay?
They're all, no, see, we need to do the first class, we need to do them separate because.
Well,
you
we're
have
gonna
fir-
do, but I think, do you want two
First
separate
class.
motions for the lake house or just
No.
one with outside consumption?
Lake house, first class with outside consumption.
And I would like to make a motion that we approve a first-class liquor license with outside consumption for the Lake Bombazine Hospitality LLC, doing business as Lake House Pub and Grill.
Second.
Motion is second. The chief's already looked at this.
Correct.
Everything's good. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So we have, do we have originals for signatures?
I don't have them, and I don't know if they put them in that separate envelope for you or not.
I didn't see one in here. So, shall we take one of these and make it an original?
Don't see why not.
As long as your signature's original on 'em.
So I'll make a motion, we approve a first-class liquor license with outside consumption for Lake Bombazine Lodge LLC, doing business as Lake Bombazine Lodge.
Second.
Motion is second. Any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion for a second-class license to sell malt and vinous beverages to Beverage King, or Toltec Incorporated, doing business as Beverage King Market and Deli.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion to approve a second-class license to sell malt and vinous beverages to Mobile LLC, doing business as Harbor View General Store.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. We have one more.
Should be 6, right? Altogether.
Want to do the last one?
I thought I did them all. I didn't do them
I
all?
didn't hear Harbor View.
Yeah, we did.
You did Harbor View? Just did it? Okay. Guess that's it. We do have people from Harbor View and we have people from the Lake House, so
That's for Zach.
that's approved. Next thing on the agenda, Tim Gilbert, the Rutland County Solid Waste Quarterly Update.
Good evening. I apologize for not making the last meeting.
That's,
We had
That one's
some
on you.
issues.
That one's
things
signed?
happen.
Rutland County Solid Waste District is
That one needs Zach.
doing well right now. Revenues are up a bit due to some demolition that's happening in the city of Rutland. I don't know of any major issues. I was asked to track down some information for the board. One that continues to be a question is the amount of trash that Castleton produces. And that currently we're trying to get a little more information from haulers, but about Spalding has given me some information that I think is probably useful. And that he estimates that at the town transfer station, we get about 800 tons of trash from the town of Castleton, with the remaining trash coming from Hubbardton. And he also estimated that about 1/3 of the residents use that, so 2/3 would have it picked up. So if you took those numbers, which are guesses, I guess, that's about 2,400 tons of trash that the town produces. That's probably, gonna get an accurate number, but there's a guess anyway. That generates a revenue of $48,000 for the trash district. The town directly pays $16,000 to the Rutland County Solid Waste District from the transfer station, with the remaining amounts coming from Hubbardton. So there was a question about also what we generate in household hazardous waste, which our residents have to pay for. Although I have given you a couple of sheets in your material there that indicate that small businesses do have to pay a certain amount for hazardous waste. However, if they're district members, they pay less than they would if they were not district members. The district used to pick up for SWAC towns. So I just ran a comparison of our household hazardous waste that Castleton residents took in last year, and if it was if we were a SWAC town, that would have been about $3,800 in fees for those that SWAC would have been charged for those household hazardous waste. And so then, of course, there's the question of if you switch to SWAC, would you save money? Well, currently we pay $16,000 in direct fees to the Rutland County Solid Waste District. If you were to go to SWAC, I think Bob told me maybe $24,000 you'd have to pay directly. You would also have to pay household hazardous waste, so approximately $28,000 directly. The point I think Bob was making is that we would save, we certainly wouldn't save in taxes because you would have to charge either more at the transfer station to make up that $12,000, or you would have to charge in your tax base, of course, the whole $28,000 and put it on your taxes, so all the taxpayers would be sharing it. This idea was that haulers would then, for that penny a pound, reduce your pickup fee. I did check with some haulers, and they currently charge the same in district towns as non-district towns. I asked Bob if he charged less in non-district towns when he was in the business, and he said he did not. So I don't think it's a realistic thing that they will charge less, and I don't think we're gonna write a business plan for these waste companies anyways. So it appears that the question that was asked previously was, what would the cost difference be? The cost difference would be about $12,000 more to the taxpayers than we're currently paying, because you can make the point of the penny a pound that that haulers are charging the residents when they pick up the trash, and think that maybe they'll reduce those bills by a couple bucks a month. But that doesn't appear to be the case anyplace, and so I think it would just cost us more to leave the trash district. In addition, there's a bunch of services which I've provided for you that the trash district provides. One question was, how much time does it take our assistant manager produces the SWIP for our transfer station. I did have a conversation with him. He said that takes him about 60 hours to do that, and that only has to be done every 5 years. However, in addition to that 60 hours, there's also quarterly reports, which he said our people are actually very good at giving him the information so he can assemble it to send to the state. But that you're looking at another 5 to 10 hours every quarter to do that. So another week's work there. So you got, for the people that are very used to doing it, 2 to 3 weeks work. So I'm not sure. I asked what towns did that did not have us, the Rutland County Solid Waste District, doing their plan. I said it varied, but some of them have to hire engineers, which I don't imagine saves much money either.
Okay, Bob had called me today. He couldn't be here, unfortunately, but he told me that he had had a meeting with you and O'Gorman from Solid Waste. Jim?
He may have talked to him, but it was Dick and myself.
Okay. So what Bob was requesting is that there's a meeting, that we have a meeting, this board and you, Tim, and Jim, and a representative from SWAC, so that we could sit down and get some real numbers from SWAC and listen to what Gorman has to say, and we heard what you come up with. So for me anyways, I need to hear both sides. So is there a date that we could have a meeting, and it has to be soon? I don't know if we want to do it during a regular meeting a week or an off. I would prefer to do it on an off regular meeting. So we're going to be into February. So would be the 4th or the 18th. Would either one of those dates work? And then we need to contact, if this board and Tim can make a date, we need to contact Rutland County Solid Waste and SWAC and make sure that one of those dates would work for them.
Either one would work for me.
That one works for me.
No problem.
The 18th, I'm having surgery on the 19th, so I
So
can do the 18th. I know I'll be away on the 4th, so
You'll be away on the 4th, so the 18th would work. So it sounds like the 18th, and we'll try to have it a little earlier, maybe like 6 o'clock.
Yeah. One other concern I had in terms of when the board presents information, last year when I came, Bob had a board that claimed that we would save $108,000 if we left the trash district, which you people kind of own the numbers when they come from the board. During voting day, there was a sign outside. By the time we got to voting day, the sign outside said save $40,000 to $50,000 minimum. From the information that he's given me now, if the trash haulers reduce their fees by a couple bucks a month, we're looking at $24,000. However, that's probably not likely. So my concern is that for some reason, I don't know why. I know why Bob doesn't like the trash district, because he was in business and he had issues with them. But I don't know exactly why you people seem to be so gung-ho to jump out of it when it actually saves us money.
Okay, I can tell you for myself, is I rely on a board member, which happened to be Bob, that was in the business, and I rely on the numbers that he gave us, just like I rely on numbers that you give us. So we need to put them all together, and then we need to make a decision on
Well, I
which.
think you can see there's a huge difference between 108,000 and the 16,000 you currently calculate.
See, as more information comes in, we're getting closer to the truth, or the fact,
I
and,
think Dick, I heard you kind of verbalize that. I see now.
Well, and it's so, and to be fair to everyone, it's a puzzle, and we gotta get all the pieces and put them all together before we can see what's there, and we only had pieces of that puzzle. We didn't even have enough to form a clear picture. And I think we're finally getting to the point where we know what questions to ask. And,
yeah, so I guess,
so he, you know, I agree with Joe that we need to all get together and
yeah,
figure this out.
yeah, I think spending any more time on it tonight, we need to have that meeting on the 18th, and probably won't have our cameraman here, but I would love to, if it's possible, have that recorded, that meeting. So, and the reason being is because there's a lot of questions in town, and we do have it on the ballot this year. And I think the more information that we can give to the voters so that they can make an educated decision on which way we should go.
What is the wording on the ballot, Joe?
I think it's I don't have it, you guys have it?
I have one.
It's something to the effect to allow the select board to, at first it was the people. We're gonna ask the people if they wanted to get out of the district. And a good point was brought up that if the people say yes, then we have to do it. Just like when they voted to join the district.
Article
So-
51.
So now, what it says is, shall the town vote to allow the select board to withdraw from the contract with the Rutland County Solid Waste District and join the Solid Waste Alliance communities to provide less expensive services for the town's solid waste?
Now, where did you get that wording, less expensive services, when it appears that what you know is that you will pay more to SWAC? I don't understand that.
Well, it's easy to sit here now and, you know, be a Monday morning quarterback, but that night that,
I've stated that.
I know you have, Tim. But what I'm saying is that we struggled with the first article that Bob wanted us to put in, and we did our best to try to cover all the answers or the questions that were given us that night. And I guess what I would have liked to seen is if it proves to be less expensive. So that's why I'd add, if it's possible, we can get PEG TV here, because it's important. A lot of people watch our meetings. They don't come to our meetings, but they do watch it, so.
You can see a concern, and that's misleading if it is indeed not, if it's actually more expensive.
Right. So let's work on that on the 18th and
Is
see.
that in stone now? Is that how it's gonna be?
Yes.
They can't be undone right now.
Can I just clarify one
Yeah.
thing? Tim, you kind of made a blanket statement, that something to the effect that this board was eager to jump or to leave the Rutland County Solid Waste District. I've been eager to get more information and to do what is most cost-effective for the taxpayers. And I repeatedly asked for a comparison of costs and what we are paying for Rutland County Solid Waste District as to what we would pay to SWAC, and would the services be the same? We seem to now be moving in that direction to try to get that information. So I'm not jumping anywhere till I have some hard facts that it's in the best interest of the community.
Okay? All right, so we'll have a meeting on the 18th. I'm thinking tentatively 6 o'clock, as long as everyone can be there. If not, we may have to move it back to 7. But right now, let's make some phone calls, see if we can line up Rutland County Solid Waste and SWAC and the rest of the board. Okay, thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Next thing on the agenda, Do Friends Consulting Engineers Sidewalk Amendment 5. You guys got a copy of that in your packet, and town manager will explain it to us, hopefully, or try.
Good evening. Today I had a conversation with Pat Travers about this amendment number 5. And I have a meeting scheduled right now with V-Trans and Pat Travers to discuss this. This is for your information only. I asked a lot of questions today based upon the bill that we received, and Pat agreed that he wasn't able to answer those, but we can get those answered by that meeting on the 5th, and that way in the meeting on the 11th I can come to you with a good breakdown and what these costs, this $9,995 that they're saying is an increase of really what that breaks down to. Because if you read the letter, it's kind of ambiguous. So that was, I'll give that to you for information only. I got the meeting on the 5th, and I'll come back to you guys on the 11th with some more information. But this is phase 1 of the sidewalk project from Drake Road to the corners and the corners to the medical center.
Yes, I would like to know what the related additional costs are, and also the update on the right-of-way drawings. I mean, right-of-way, we knew what right-of-ways we needed when we started this project, and it sounds like we had got the decision from the state for next door,
Right.
so I don't know what other costs should incur, but. Okay, so we'll know when after you have that meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
One thing that he did bring up today was some of those places, the state said we don't need the easements, so we can work within the right of way, so they adjusted the drawings. And I said, okay, what is that, what's the so what out of this? And it was that the sidewalks will be closer to the road than they were if they were working in the right of way, or out of the right of way. And I'm like, okay, somebody's gotta talk to me more about
Yeah,
this.
because
So,
you had to make a design for sidewalks, whether they're here or here, and I understand there might be a little more work, but, okay, when you have your meeting, we'll have some better answers. Okay, anybody have any questions on this? We'll wait till after Mike meets with them, so. All right, citizens' comments. I don't see any. Okay, manager's update.
really to have anything, like, with meat on the bones for you guys, so I just made some notes off stuff that happened today. I do want to say thanks to the highway crew, the PD, the fire department, the Red Cross was there last week during this flooding and the storm we had. We did pull together as a group at the fire station, did some road checking of the flooding, assessed what needed to get done, what resources we had. There was really no need for sheltering or a warming shelter. We did have it open the first night of the storm just in case. Worked with Vermont Emergency Management, watch officer, and the Red Cross and 211, just to keep them updated on what was going on in Castleton as far as the flooding goes. But I appreciated the help and the cooperation from the highway crew, the PD, and the fire department to pull together and get that done. So while we're on the subject of the flooding, I received a phone call from Dr. Deichel, and the whole flooding over there, well, it flooded his basement this time. And so I talked to Paul today about it, and he personally has been down there a couple times a day, making sure that those inlets have been cleared out and they're not clogged with snow and ice. But I think you guys know the extent of the problem, and what I can't lay my hands on, I guess was an engineering study done about how to take care of that that stormwater. I cannot find it, so if you guys have any kind of recollection of that or where I might start digging.
You're talking about the Crystal Meadows study?
No,
No. Oh, yeah, over here at Crystal Meadows. The-
Castleton
Castle
Meadows.
Meadows.
Castleton Meadows, Amy, I'm sorry, my mistake.
Now you got me saying it. Yeah, over at Castle Meadows. So I guess for future discussions is, how we want to, the stormwater problems haven't gone away, they're still there, but, how we want to tackle it, and get rid of that water. The inlets are undersized. We didn't get a chance to clean them out this year, so all that silt build up in there didn't get cleaned, and which doesn't help the volume of water that's going on. But I don't think the way they are right now, no matter what heavy volume, it wasn't going to take it. So I told Dr. Dykle I'd bring it up tonight, and that we apologize. There's nothing we can do at this time for it, but it's on our radar. You guys should have received a copy of from Nedra, the petitions that were received today.
Yep,
We have those.
it was one in our box.
We did get the AED. It's here. I've solicited training for that right now for CPR and the AED training. I got two options at this point. I'm just waiting to hear back from the other one on the cost associated with it. But we do have it here to, in case we have any other incidents.
Will we have someone in this office trained?
Everybody in the office will be trained.
Okay, good.
And we're gonna pull in members of the transfer station, the highway crew, and the wastewater treatment.
So at
Good.
present, the only one in here that's trained is you, right?
Correct. I got a call today out of one of those cold calls from a representative from the state that asked, they would like to renew their contract with the VSP contract over at our PD. And Chief, I didn't catch him before he left, but that's something that he'd like to get an answer for in the next probably 2 weeks, he said. So we can put it off to the February meeting if we have to, but if there's gonna be an increase in the cost and terms of the agreement, but they are looking, just informational purposes, they are looking to extend that. And that's all I have, gentlemen, pending your questions.
Any questions for the manager?
And the only one I have is, are we writing to the university to thank them for their donation for police and increased police and fire protection?
After I do the letter requesting the money, we can do that.
Okay, fine, as long as it's done, that's all.
Okay.
When are you gonna send that letter out?
You're trying to pin me down to a certain day?
No, not to a certain day.
How about this week?
Okay, that's fine.
Jim, do you have any more questions?
No, it's all I got.
Dick?
No.
I'm good.
Zach, do you have any more questions? Okay, well, I have a couple. Have you been in contact with Hubbardton about the agreement for the transfer?
No, I have it here for your guys' review. Tonight, I was gonna give that to you. You said you wanted to look at it before
Yeah.
sending it to them, so I have it here for your guys' review.
Do you have copies for all of us?
Just make sure how many you got right there.
One more.
We'll start about file right here.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we can take
Put
this
it in his
home,
mailbox.
take a look at it, you guys, and if it's okay, we'll contact Hubbardton and get this thing signed. Mike, did you receive a letter from Val Waldron?
I did, I got copies for you here as well.
Could you give us an update about the fire station roof? I just happened to stop in here today and
Yeah.
see you had a roofer looking at it.
They're gonna, after this, we're supposed to get some snow here coming tomorrow night. They're gonna come back and clean that off after the storm, take a look at, that area that's in question, see if they can see any visible, damage. But if they can't see anything visible, then we may have to keep this thing cleaned off, the best we can, to get us through the spring, where if they have to start peeling stuff back and fixing it, that the weather's gonna be conducive for that, but they are gonna come back and clean it, and give us an initial inspection of it.
Okay.
It didn't really, we went upstairs today, I pulled back one of the accesses where the insulation is on the back side of the building, and, the gentleman said you can see a lot of light coming up through there. I think Heath was there, you were there too, right? And, so there is maybe some inadequate insulation back in there, and he said if you got heat coming up on that wall, that may be contributing to some of our problems, so.
I noticed when I left today, I happened to look at the fire station, and it looks to me like there's a huge amount of heat loss on that side, this side of the roof. If you look at where the snow's completely gone and it was wet, and as cold as it was outside, it shouldn't have been wet. So I think Mike hit it right on the head. The insulation needs to be inspected up there. We've got a problem, and it needs to be corrected. So,
Jinxed us. Mike sent out an email last week asking all the department heads if we had any issues, and I said, the only thing I worry about with the new building is where them valleys come together, the north and south and east and west building, and 3 days later, we're walking out of the firehouse after one of the calls, and then I go, oh, look at that tile.
water.
I jinxed us.
Okay. All right, thank you. I guess the next thing on the agenda is select board comments. James,
I'm good.
Dick,
I'm good.
Zach, we're all set. Okay, let's see, I have a couple things. I guess the first thing I want to bring up is 2 weeks ago at our meeting, I had asked for an executive session with the board and the manager, and in my opinion, I feel that there's been a conflict of interest on this board. So out of respect for the board member, I went into executive session, and if you read our conflict of interest policy, it can be done either way. It can be done in public or in private. So I asked for some legal advice and got some, and so I went into executive session. The next day, I received a letter. Would you like to read this letter?
If you want, I can read it, or you can read it.
Okay. Dick had dropped this letter in my mailbox. And the letter says, "Gentlemen, I am requesting that any and all matters before this board regarding Joe Bruno's allegations of conflict of interest be discussed in open session, as per Article 7, Section B of the Town Conflict of Interest Policy dated 4/27/15. I'm also requesting your consent to no longer keep this confidential under executive privilege. I will need to discuss this with others in order to properly prepare for legal implications of the accusations made by Joe Bruno that night." Joe Bruno didn't make any accusations. He made facts. He stated some facts. As it was explained to me, an accusation is if you think somebody did something, then you accuse them of it. There's no thinking about what I had said. I believe that Dick has a conflict of interest being on this board with his wife working in town as the town accountant. And why I say that is because he has a real personal and financial conflict or interest. And if you read our conflict of interest policy, it clearly states that any direct personal or financial interest of a public officer, her spouse, household member, it goes on. And I believe, in my opinion, that Dick receives health benefits because of his wife being employed in this town. I've had a problem with it since we started on the board. It was brought up way back 4 or 5 years ago when we got on the board. There was some corrections made, i.e. her salary has been put on a separate warning now, so that Dick doesn't vote on that. But after doing a little more investigation, it is in fact that Dick shouldn't even vote on the budget unless we take that department and put that on a separate warning. And then there wouldn't be a conflict because he's not voting on that. So I just wanted to clear the air. I was a little upset with Dick's letter implicating that he was going to take legal action for something that I had said, which is my opinion, which I have the right to do. And after getting a little legal counsel, I have done nothing against the law. My opinion is my opinion. The rest of the board agrees with me or don't agree with me. I would like to see the personnel policy changed in this town. Conflict of interest policies they're not really worth the paper they're written on. They're unenforceable. And the only way that they are is if the person being accused of the conflict would admit to it. If they don't admit to it, there's no conflict. And if you read our policy and the state's model policy, it basically says the same thing. What it says you can do is, in private or public, is admonish them. And for those of you that don't know what the word is, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I did, because I didn't. It's just a fancy word for scolding somebody or telling them they're doing something wrong. So I felt that I had to at least bring it out in the air. Dick wanted it public, so that's what I've done. It's now public, and I think that it needs to be corrected. So with that said, the only other thing I guess I was going to ask you, Mike, under manager's update was...
Can I respond, please?
Would you like to?
I
Sure.
would.
Absolutely. Dick.
First off, if we're going to discuss this in detail, we're going to do it at a later meeting with it on the agenda, because there's other people, before the board makes any decisions, that would like to have something to say that aren't on this board.
Okay.
Secondly...
Well, hold it right there. I'd like to ask you a question. So you're saying that there's other people that are interested in coming in and speaking about this conflict of interest?
Yes.
And then how would them people have gotten that information, since we were in executive session when we discussed it?
And when I discussed it with you later on, you specifically said you didn't care who I told.
That's true. I
So
didn't.
I did talk to counsel, and I talked to my wife, and I've talked to a couple of close personal friends.
Enough said. Go ahead.
So first, let me ask one question, and this is more of a rhetorical question than anything. I don't expect a response, although you're welcome to if you want. How does my receiving health care cause a direct financial conflict or direct financial gain on any of the topics that are normally before this board, i.e. the waste, the waste stream, discussing the waste stream, or the leaky fire station, or Joe's liquor license?
There isn't. There's a personal gain for you. Your health insurance is paid through your wife's employment. If you want to get into a debate, I suggest we have another meeting, because this could take a long time.
We need to do that then.
Absolutely, we will. Okay? Anything else?
Nope.
Mike, how are we doing with salt and sand at the highway department? And the reason I'm asking is because I know other towns are struggling already this winter, and I was up by our sand shed, and public sand disappeared, but I know that there's a lot of people who needed it this past week. So how are we doing?
We're not doing very well on our salt, especially. Salt's worse than sand. Paul's gonna give me an estimate. I think it was 200 tons or something like that we're down to out of 600 or wherever we started with, but 800. Yeah. So it's the little small things that have been killing us and keeping that salt down for the roads. We're getting these little small storms, and then we get cold temperatures, and anybody that lives on a dirt road can tell you that the dirt roads get worse, but we don't use salt on those, we use sand. So what I've asked Paul to do right now is he's mixing a salt and sand mixture, mixing it up right now to try to
Make it last
try to
longer.
last a little bit longer, and hopefully Mother Nature cooperates. But we have seen an increased usage of both salt and sand, and we're better than 50% depleted at this point.
Of both?
Mostly salt, but sand, he didn't give me the number on sand though, if you want.
Sand pile's about half gone.
Yeah,
Okay. So do we have a backup plan for the salt?
I asked Paul to get me a quote to see at this point what we can get and what the price is at this point. So he's gonna work on getting us a quote, about his best guesstimate of what we would need. It'd be a crime to overthink this, I guess, or not overthink it, but overreact and order too much and then have it sit for the year.
Because we're obviously gonna pay more now than we did.
I would assume that if the market, is gonna not be friendly to us at this point, so.
Okay.
But once I have those numbers, I should have something for you guys by the 11th at least. And if we don't have a lot of storms, hopefully we'll have some salt left by the 11th too.
Do you know what's left in the budget for salt and sand?
Yeah, we've got, no, hold on.
Just a rough number.
You put me on the spot, but I think I can pull a rabbit out of my hat on this one. It's the salt and sand. It's really sand on there out of the carryovers,
Okay.
but, we'll do what we gotta do.
All right.
But how about if before the evening's done, I'll have the answer for you.
Yeah, I just remember I got.
Well, I guess it's important that Zach gets his question answered, but we have to buy salt or sand, we have to find the money somewhere.
We have money in the reserves right now.
Yeah.
Even from the budget from last year of dipping into that, to offset some costs of the budget, we still have, there's like $40,000 in there or something like that, so it's,
Keep the ice,
Should be enough.
what's that?
the ice storms just eat it up.
Yeah. I mean, and this last one that we had, I know from personal experience, is you salt and sand, and as long as that rain keeps raining, it washes it off and makes more ice, and it just
We were
keeps
out
making.
Saturday all day re-sanding, because when the sun finally come out Friday afternoon, the sand and stuff we had on the roads went through the ice, and
Right.
then it cooled off and glazed back over, and we had ice everywhere again, so.
Okay, and now the last thing, you guys have received this letter from Val Waldron, and I would respectfully ask if someone would consider making a motion to appoint her to the planning commission, since the planning commission is short members.
I move she be appointed to planning commission.
Second.
Have a motion to second, any discussion?
I think we should, table this until next week, or next meeting when we got a full board.
I am not going to do that. I'm going to ask that we call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion fails. So, now I would like your reason for not appointing Val. Dick?
I wanted to have a full board here. I would like Val here too. The main reason I voted no is because we didn't have a full board. The second thing is I'd like to speak to her and see what her feelings are now. When she left the town, she was angry. A few other people were angry. And I would like to speak to her before we make this decision.
Okay. How about you, Zach?
Voted no for the same reason that I voted no for Bruce. Because he left a nasty letter with the town.
Well, Val didn't leave any nasty letters with the town. But I find it interesting that you would do that, yet you would bring up John Hale again, since how many times did we reject his position, and you waited until you had the votes to do it? Okay, that's enough. I'm gonna move on. You think that's funny, don't you, Junior?
Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the warrants?
I make a motion, we approve warrant number 0128R for $30,467.87. Warrant number 0128 for $272,607.65. Warrant 0124 for $5,742.17. Warrant 0117 for $5,600.24. Warrant 0124P for $15,253.51, and warrant number 1117P for $15,246.30.
0117.
Did I screw up?
Yeah.
Sorry. That is warrant 0117P.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Make a motion, we approve warrant number 0123P for $534.16. And warrant number 0116P for $534.17.
Second.
The motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Did I miss one of these?
Should have been two of these. I haven't
thought so,
seen one
too.
yet, unless I screwed up and signed one I shouldn't have.
There was only one there. Yeah, you did.
Let me cross it out and I'll initial it or something. There you go, Jim. Yeah, I'll just, nah, that's fine. We know I didn't vote yes on it.
Yes, we do. Okay. Could I have a motion to go into executive session? Mike, do we need to go in for, I think we do. Real estate, board and manager.
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.